with my colleague, Minister Jason Hayward, who is the Minister for Labor. And I am also pleased to be here to speak to you, the public, and everyone about initiatives within the Ministry of Home Affairs that are expected to attract investors both international and locally to provide jobs for Bermudians. Most of you might not equate the Ministry of Home Affairs as a ministry that will be creating jobs or even industries. We're normally associated with controls and oversight of certain matters. Indeed, that is a misinformed fact. And we would like to let certain detractors know that our department and my ministry will never be an impediment to economic progress. And I'd like to totally refute the notion, because we in the ministry and the government are excited to inform the general public that we represent a number of paths to growing and changing the economy. I am proud to highlight a number of initiatives that are overseen by the departments under my ministry: Energy, Planning, Environment, and Natural Resources, and also the Regulatory Authority. Although the Regulatory Authority is an independent body, I do have ministerial oversight for their affairs. And it should be noted that more than one of these initiatives, the departments of my ministry have partnered with the Regulatory Authority on a number of occasions. And these departments, all of them, work as a team with not only the Regulatory Authority, but also a number of government departments. I would like to first start with the Department of Energy. You may be aware that renewable energy and the solutions that we can bring to Bermuda through renewable energy are extremely dear to my heart, whether it is the installation of renewable energy itself or through the electrification of transport. I have repeatedly stated that renewable energy is the future of Bermuda as we begin to move away from fossil fuels. They will become a part of our past. Not only is the adoption of renewable energy in our future, but it will also attract significant investment and new jobs. In fact, there are already a number of interested investors, both overseas and locally, that have approached the Ministry of Home Affairs with proposals to introduce a variety of renewable energy technologies to Bermuda. While the procurement of such technologies is the purview of the independent regulatory authority, we must prepare our people to participate in this lucrative and growing industry, which is growing globally. Therefore, I will soon be rolling out a number of initiatives. Firstly, we will soon be introducing a training for level 1 solar installers, giving priority to those who have lost jobs or who are looking for new opportunities. We have had meetings with instructors at the Bermuda College to map out specifically how this can be done. As soon as it's practical, we will be rolling out the training and conduction to ensure that up to 20 students who wish to become solar installers are to be trained, ready, and to be able to complete solar photovoltaic installations. Now, we say as soon as possible because, obviously, with the pandemic, the trainers will be coming from overseas, and we must ensure the safety of them as well as our own community. We are also introducing a competent person scheme, initially for solar installers, and is being developed by the Department of Energy and Planning. This scheme will allow persons to benefit from what will be considered a fast-tracked process, an abbreviated planning process. Once they have been certified as a competent person, they can be trusted to adhere to the planning rules and building codes for installation. We will be continuing the solar rebate program for purchases of solar systems to assist those who are not normally able to afford these systems to install solar solutions. Thus far, The recent reboot of that program, which started in 2010, we have provided about $320,000 of installations since 2018. This covers more than 50 installations and over 230 kilowatts of energy. What we have found is that many people are installing even more than the rebated amount, which allows them to have a lot more freedom from fossil fuel and contributes to the island's goal of energy independence. There will be the introduction of a green energy and environmental justice fund, which will encourage local and overseas investors to provide investment to provide funding for the following: installing solar for residential homes and small businesses, providing additional training to develop solar installers, energy managers, and also energy auditors, providing the initial investment for entrepreneurs who are looking to enter into the renewable energy market, whether as an installer or as an energy management business, or any other related businesses in the renewable energy market. We will be tabling legislation to introduce what is termed a regulatory sandbox. Currently, the regulatory authority can only issue licenses to utilities that have proven technologies, such as obviously fossil fuel, solar, or maybe even wind technology. This is an exciting initiative for a number of reasons. It will allow developers of new, yet to be commercialized technology to build and test that technology here in Bermuda. We've already been meeting with certain developers who are interested in testing their very interesting energy technology, mainly in our oceans. Any such developments will require persons to be on island to help with developing the sites and installing the equipment. And none of this would be proceeding as smoothly without the work of our partnership with the Waite Foundation and the development of the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Program, spearheaded by our ministry, along with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. All such initiatives are reviewed by a team of officers from a number of departments throughout the government: Department of Marine and Ports, Department of Estates within Public Works, the Department of Energy, Planning, Environment, and Natural Resources, and, of course, the Regulatory Authority. Incidentally, this is the same team of officers, together with the Bermuda Business Development Agency, that are also involved with the development of our Submarine Cables Communications Act 2020. This legislation has started to bear fruit as we speak, as there are at least 4 substantive inquiries that have been made from some of the major international cable laying companies in the globe, expressing a serious interest in laying cables in our territorial waters, and will not only earn Bermuda hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees, but will establish Bermuda as the only North Atlantic submarine telecommunications hub. This could in turn entice many other companies to come to Bermuda, which will bring, obviously, inward investment, create jobs in a very growing global sector of telecommunications, global telecommunications. Last but not least, I would like to highlight the work done by the Department of Planning. It is important to emphasize that approvals from this department translate into investment and jobs for architects, construction personnel, masons, laborers, carpenters, tilers, electricians, plumbers, you name it. Engineers, surveyors, conveyancing lawyers, realtors, landscapers, installers of renewable energy, of course. Since March of this year, 542 building permits have been issued by the Department of Planning. These permits cover both new builds, renovation works, and renewable energy systems. Just as a snapshot to give you all a picture, from the month of September alone, 61 new residential permits were issued, resulting in approximately $11.6 million of potential construction contracts. The 15 commercial building permits that were issued in September resulted in approximately $31.7 million injected into the economy as potential construction contracts. The Department of Planning, along with the ministry, have introduced some of the following: a scheme of delegation which has enabled the department to, with the assistance of the Development Applications Board, to delegate decisions-making powers to the Director of Planning, reducing the number of applications going to the DAB by 80%. This process has allowed for planning approvals to be granted a lot more efficiently. Holding virtual DAB meetings so that decisions making of new developments were not disrupted by either shelter in place or by the issues and the complications of the pandemic. The use of Energov, which is a new platform, electronic platform that is run by the Department of Planning, not only allows electronic submissions, but also allows the applicant to track the progress of his or her application and the public to be alerted when there are new applications of any interest, particularly maybe in your parish or your neighborhood, and interested persons can view those applications fully online. As a result of the streamlining of the processes, this department has exceeded normal 10-week turnaround for receipt of planning applications for approval. It should be noted that because of these innovations, the department was able to continue processing applications all through the pandemic period, from March up until May, June. Regulations resulting that normally would have limited the ability of the department or other departments to not work were not a inhibition to the planning department in getting their work done. The department was able to direct resources to process as many applications as possible during the period to support the construction industry, getting back to work once shelter in place was discontinued. Some of the other exciting news that demonstrates the continued investment in our economy include the Rebate development, which some very good news we can report. They have sold already up to 6 lots, representing 1/3 of the total lots that were available for sale as part of that development. 3 of these lots are already undergoing architectural design phase for imminent submission to the Department of Planning. And I might add, I believe that the market value for each of those lots was somewhere between $2 and $3 million. So that's a significant amount of expenditure that's already up front and doesn't include the ongoing development of those lots going forward. We have observed also an uptick in the number of planning searches being submitted to the Department of Planning. This is a very strong indication, everyone, that the real estate sales are actually progressing and increasing, which will ultimately demonstrate a level of confidence in the Bermuda real estate market. This has also been reported by developers in the news just recently. In conclusion, these initiatives demonstrate that our ministry, the Department of Planning, will continue to be a part of the strategy of this government to promote investment both locally and internationally and bring additional jobs during this period going forward. Thank you very much, everyone. And I will turn over the mic to the Minister for Labor, Minister Jason Hayward.
Thank you, Minister. Good day to members of the media and the listening public. As you are aware, the current economic crisis resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic has led to an unprecedented job crisis worldwide, and Bermuda is no exception. In our efforts to be responsive, this government seeks to utilize the effective implementation of labor policy to support Bermudian employment. This will be a critical component in assisting Bermuda to attain labor market stability. Bermuda is currently experiencing unparalleled levels of unemployment. This has translated into Bermuda's worst job crisis in modern times. We estimate that at a minimum, the unemployment rate has doubled from 2019 levels, and we expect further contractions in employment levels over the coming months. We have been made aware of large-scale redundancies in the hospitality and financial services industries, as well as job contractions in retail establishments. As Bermuda enters into its winter period, which is normally a time when employment levels decline, it is clear that additional measures are required to support Bermudians who seek to return to the workplace. With that said, in order to support the government's aim to reintegrate the many displaced workers back into the workforce, the Bermuda government will expand the occupations listed under the closed category jobs under Section 3.6 of the current work permit policy, placing an immediate moratorium on new work permits for these jobs. This will be in place for a 6-month period ending April 30th, 2021. It should be emphasized that this moratorium does not impact work permit renewals. However, the government will continue its practice of reviewing and scrutinizing work permit renewals to gain assurance that Bermudian workers are being treated fairly and being provided with adequate job opportunities in their own country. The government is releasing today a revised list of job titles that now comprise the list of all closed categories. This list is attached and will be disseminated after the press release. The moratorium will run in parallel to the execution of the government's job strategy. This is not a normal course of action. However, the government must take extraordinary measures at this time. We recognize the magnitude of the unemployment problem facing Bermuda, and we must do things differently. It is now absolutely necessary for the government of Bermuda to provide labor market interventions with the aim of getting Bermudians back to work. The government acknowledges that there will always be a need for non-Bermudian workers in Bermuda, and we value their contributions. However, when faced with this kind of job crisis, the worst in recent history, getting Bermudians back to work is our priority. As a result, non-Bermudians who are no longer on an active work permit are advised to make alternative arrangements, as permission to reside and seek further employment in Bermuda will generally not be accepted. It must be made clear that the 6-month expansion for closed categories is for new permits and not renewals of work permits. In an effort to address youth unemployment, the Department of Workforce Development, in collaboration with industry stakeholders, will implement a graduate on-the-job training program to accommodate reaching graduates who are currently unemployed. The program aims to enroll participants before the end of 2020, with the program to run during the first quarter of 2021. The aim is for graduate students with degrees to obtain the requisite experience which will assist them in securing full-time employment. In addition to this program, the Ministry of Labor will be rolling out the following initiatives in alignment with our job strategy. The Ministry and the Department of Workforce Development will provide training and development opportunities for Bermudians with partial salary subsidies for on-the-job training. The Ministry has partnered with the restaurant industry stakeholders to provide comprehensive waiter server training. We are working with the cleaning industry to provide training for residential and commercial cleaners. We are partnering with the Bermuda College to ensure its trades courses are promoted and financially supported. Department of Workforce Development will resume interview skills training to ensure persons are confident and well prepared for the recruitment process. The ministry has partnered with employment agencies who have agreed to host a national working initiative in order to support professionals who have found themselves displaced from the workforce. The ministry has met with CPA Bermuda and agreed to work on a collaborative strategy to promote and support a greater volume of Bermudians obtaining accountancy certifications. Over the coming weeks, specifics about the aforementioned programs will be shared. We are encouraging Bermudians to take full advantage of the opportunity this government is affording them. Thank you. At this time, I'll take questions from the media.
Afternoon, sir, and thanks for having us. I wanted to start just if there was any update on the situation with the large number of folks who've been laid off at the Southampton Princess in terms of how many we've been able to find other jobs and get back to work in different places. Just if there's any kind of update on that one.
The Southampton Princess, they did have an internal career fair where a number of other hotel establishments were reviewing the resumes of those persons that are displaced. As you can appreciate, we are entering into our winter season, which normally is an employment contraction period in the hotel industry. What we're aiming to do is to ensure that those persons have placement for the beginning of the 2021 hotel season.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Roban, I had a couple questions for yourself. You did allude to some interesting sounding cable inquiries there. I believe 4 inquiries that have come in. Are you able to give us anything more or tell us
I can
when you might?
mention 2 companies that have made inquiries. One is Alcatel, which I'm sure if you do your research is one of the largest cable installation companies on the planet, as well as another company called I think it's called Subcom is another one. These are major players in the ocean cable laying global market, and they have contacted the government and my ministry to inquire about the process for laying cable that would land in Bermuda. So this is very positive news for us. There are other inquiries, but I would prefer not to refer to them because they're not perhaps as solid as we would like at this time. But
Sure.
These are legitimate companies that are global players. They have associations with companies such as Google and Facebook who are also laying, who they will be possibly working for to lay the cable across the Atlantic. And we know that those companies, global companies, are now doing just that because they're the ones who are laying the next generation of telecommunications cable throughout the globe.
Sorry, sir, what was the name of the second company you mentioned?
Subcom, I believe the name of it, the
Right.
company. I can confirm the name for you, but I know Alcatel is definitely one of the first names. I believe the other company's name Subcom.
In terms, just generally in terms of getting this kind of investment into big projects in Bermuda, are we looking potentially at having more P3 type arrangements in the pipeline?
Well, these are private sector initiatives. They have no connection with the government putting any money in. We have provided the framework and the regime that will allow these cables to land in Bermuda. There are similar regimes throughout the Pacific, in Australia, New Zealand, and in that area where there are hubs throughout the Pacific. We are duplicating that effort here in the Atlantic. We are well positioned to be that hub, and the legislation we put in place and will be concluded with some regulations that will bring some change will bring to the House in this upcoming session will actually finalize that regime in place so that companies will know not only what they have to do to lay a cable, and it will be a one-stop shop approach. So they're not going to have to go to multiple different ministries. So there is an actual corridor that has already been legislatively outlined where all cables must come through to land in Bermuda. The main thing that we're working on is the fee structure that needs to be finalized. So clearly, any applicants know what sort of fee arrangements that they're going to be, confronted with if they choose to come to Bermuda.
Just lastly, we've been hearing of ideas coming for putting renewable energy on some of the larger government buildings. Are you able to tell us of any of the sort of top jobs coming in that department?
I can confirm that certainly the government is working on that, but those initiatives are being handled by the Ministry for Public Works, because they obviously run the government of the state. Our focus is on the wider community and what we can do to forward the uptick of renewable energy in the wider community. And my initiatives are all focused on that, because that's where the job growth in, that's where the potential investment is, that we now can really, as a country, consider, as we have confirmed through the Integrated Resource Plan, which was put out in 2018, that Bermuda will pursue a renewable energy future with 85% of our energy by 2035 coming from renewable sources. To reach those goals with wind, solar, and any other technologies, we have to start that process now. And we're creating the opportunity for that to happen. So that's why we welcome not only the traditional technologies that are proven, but we're also inviting people who are testing new technologies that have yet to be commercialized. Because if they can bring them here and potentially test and find that they're commercially viable in Bermuda, Bermuda can benefit from them, particularly the ocean-based ones.
Yeah, you mentioned some types of ocean-based technology for renewable energy, I believe.
Yes.
Possible
There is
to
actually
get me more on that?
I can only say that one of the wonderful things is that it's not just people from overseas that are looking at these things. We have local investors who are taking the lead with bringing innovative technology to Bermuda. So we're talking to a local investor who actually has been interested in bringing and testing ocean-based technology here in Bermuda. But and that's why we're creating the regulatory sandbox so that that can happen. Just as a little bit of background, those of you who track the insurance market know that they have a similar concept in the insurance market, where they create a regulatory sandbox so that insurance products can be tested before being like commercialized. So we're taking a concept which is orchestrated by the BMA, which is well known, and it's not just here that regulatory sandboxes exist. They exist other parts of the world as well. So we're using the same concept to ensure that Bermuda gets the opportunity to see some innovative technologies in the energy sector. And as I said, there are already partners and people interested in taking advantage of the opportunity. We just have to pass legislation to make it happen.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Minister, just on that same point, so the regulators for that sandbox, who are they?
The sandbox will be overseen by the regulatory authority as the legal body that regulates the energy sector.
And the jobs that you were talking about that could be created as a result of all of this new future possible technology, how far down the road are we talking?
Well, the regulatory sandbox will focus on innovative energy concepts that will not be commercialized. But clearly their deployment will require local participation, and that's where jobs come in.
You were talking about other opportunities, Alcatel and all of these companies.
Yes.
Yes. So, but you were saying that there are job opportunities, there are all kinds of future possible job opportunities as a result of all of these companies that were interested in coming to Bermuda. So I was just wondering, how far down the road are we talking about in terms of opportunities? You're talking about construction work. There's all kinds of possibilities down the road.
Well, the construction work is associated, one, with the new developments at Riddles Bay. Six of the 18 lots have been sold. That will immediately create construction jobs. That's one of the immediate impacts of the work that this government's done with passing the special development order, which has allowed that development to go forth. That is immediate construction jobs to the local community that can happen within the next few months. With properties, as I said before, I think each of those lots estimated sale value is $2 million. That's just the buying of the lot. That doesn't include the building of the house and everything else, and the infrastructure that needs to be out there to support that development. That is already creating jobs there.
Minister of Labor, you were talking about these opportunities that the government is creating for new possible jobs. Is there a particular area that you think that more jobs can be created in a large sense? There's obviously a lot of opportunities where you're going to close areas for non-Bermudians. But there's a whole bunch of Bermudians out there looking for a job. So is there some particular skill set that you think might be really useful if they're looking for a job in the immediate future?
What we've decided to do is go through a phased approach, and as I announced previously, phase 1 will be focused on landscaping, cleaners, and restaurant industry jobs. As we progress to different phases of the job strategy, you will see other job categories which we will have primarily focused on. But when we look at training and development, certainly there is a need to expand in the trade areas where we can work with Bermuda College to ensure that the courses are fully subscribed and ensure that persons get financing so that they can take advantage of those particular courses. Across our economy, we see that there is also persons who already have degrees who are displaced, and so we are working with employment agencies to ensure that those persons get placed as soon as possible. And so we're having those conversations. I think we have a variety of different skill sets. People possess a variety of different skill sets, and so we're trying to create it to the different level of skill sets that actually persons actually have.
So, I mean, if I've got no skills, basically, I'm looking for a job, landscaping, should I try to find a restaurant job? Is that what I'm looking to do?
So,
In the first instance, anyway.
in the first instance, what we want to do is provide a service so that we can properly assess what your skill sets actually are. I don't buy that persons have no skills. I just think that persons need to be assessed to see where they will be best, the competency level will be best suited in our economy, and then Department of Workforce Development will work with that individual to either provide additional training or to get them placed in an area that matches their competency.
So people basically who are out there looking for a job should really make sure that they are registered with the Workforce Development.
Certainly.
May I also add to the comments made by Minister Hayward, and your question was about new jobs and new opportunities. We are looking forward to working with his ministry to shape how some of these new opportunities are going to be pushed forward, Mr. Fox. One thing we know is that the renewable energy sector, there are going to be new jobs that have yet to be created that are going to be needed in this sector. From our own assessments, there are about 8,000 to 10,000 homes in Bermuda that are suitable for renewable energy installation right now. That means that with every one of those homes, there will need to be somebody who's doing electrical work, who actually knows how to do an install, who can assist with energy conservation and like efficiency assessments and also installing those technologies. Going forward, these homes aren't going anywhere. And so there's an opportunity for us to create new job and training opportunities for people who desire perhaps a new career, as I mentioned in my statement. And we're looking forward to working with the Labor Ministry and Workforce Development to shaping this.
I think that's where I was going with the question earlier, though. How far down the road are those jobs? That's the question I was asking. Not about Riddles Bay, but about those types of jobs.
Well, I gave you the Riddles Bay answer, which is to the here and now. Those are jobs that can be created right now, and we're happy that the Riddles Bay
let's forget Riddles Bay. Let's forget the new.
So I'll move on as the line I was taking, Mr. Fox, is with the new jobs that I've outlined can be created through the renewable energy sector. There are companies now that are here that are very passionate with the work they do in it, but they are not enough to supply the opportunity that is actually available going forward. I've just talked about the residential sector. I haven't even talked about the commercial sector of installations, because we have a huge commercial sector that actually can benefit from more renewable energy installation. But just as I said, there are 8,000 to 10,000 homes right now in Bermuda that could benefit and actually would be suitable for renewable energy installation. But we need the available bodies to be able to be doing those installations. We need the available training. And also, as I said, either through the green energy fund that we're looking to create, we know that not every home can afford an installation. So we will give a level of financial support, as we've seen happen in other countries, to support the installation in some of our average homes, so that not only they can benefit from the savings that they can have, but also achieving Bermuda's clean energy goals. We have clean energy goals. We want to be a clean energy economy, moving away from fossil fuels. But there are real jobs attached with this, whether it be as a level 1 installer, whether it be as a energy manager, whether it be as a someone who will go into a home and do an audit to determine what efficiencies you can incorporate in your home. Obviously, electricians who will need to be doing these installations, who will need to be trained in these areas. There are numerous new jobs that can be created. And I'll just take you slightly back, Mr. Fox, to the original energy white paper of 2011. It contemplated 200 jobs there, estimated, that could be added to the economy through renewable energy. We're just looking to pursue those numbers because we believe that now that we are looking to reshape the economy is a time to actually begin to bring these opportunities to Bermudians who want perhaps a new career, who wants a sustainable career, because once we make this transition as we are to 85% renewable energy generation, there's no turning back. It's going to keep going, and there'll be new opportunities for many people as entrepreneurs, as the technicians in this sector, to keep maintaining that infrastructure going forward.
Minister, you are, as you said earlier, responsible for the regulatory authority. You're probably aware that there's a statement from a number of environmental groups who have just recently come out asking the regulatory authority to extend its consultation period for 5G by 30 days so that there could be some further discussion with the public about this technology. Would you agree to a further consultation period for that? Do you think that the 5G technology still requires some more consultation, some more testing before it is implemented in Bermuda?
Here's what I will say. This is a matter that is under the purview of the regulatory authority, and so they are running the consultation process. I do agree that the consultation process, which why I support it, is necessary because there is much information out there around 5G, some of which is false, some of which I think has unfortunately scared people about the introduction of new technologies into a particular environment.
Do you think it's safe?
And I accept that. Well, that is what this consultation process has been designed to allow. It has been designed to bring the expertise publicly to the table in a transparent way so that the public can discuss the issues around this new technology that has been proposed, because it's been proposed now. I want to repeat, there is no 5G technology in operation in Bermuda at this time, so people can be clear that there is none. It has not been licensed or authorized by anybody that has oversight of telecommunications, whether it be within my ministry or with the regulatory authority. So we are in a period now where with 5G here as a potential future technology, that a very open and transparent process will be engaged with the public to ensure that everybody knows everything that needs to be known, that any of the questions and concerns of the public can be heard and answered. So the plan is, as part of it, I know that the regulatory has in mind is to bring international expertise to the table that can be a part of the discussion in Bermuda, independent people who can give advice or feedback, and even those who may have their suspicions will be allowed to participate in that process. And that is part of the goal that the RA wants to achieve with this, is that once this process is completed, there will be much more better knowledge and awareness of how 5G operates and any of the concerns that people have repeatedly raised.
It doesn't give you any pause, though, that all of these Green Rock, all of these David Wingate, they're all asking for an extension of this consultation period.
Well, I would hope that they put their petition to the regulatory authority to actually consider it.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, and I don't necessarily believe that that will be a difficulty for the RA, but it's a matter for the RA to consider.
One other thing, you're probably aware that there suddenly is another slew of COVID cases, another 7, I believe. It seems like this is getting out of hand. The numbers are increasing. The government must be concerned about this, the increasing number of these cases.
I think you know, Mr. Fox, that those matters are typically handled by the Minister of Health, who does a weekly press conference, and you'll be able to put your questions and get a appropriate technical and medical assessment from the minister at the appropriate time. I believe those that presentation is usually done on a Tuesday, so you'll be able to get the government's position on any issues around the pandemic from the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Ministers.
Okay, do I have any questions